Hi everyone. This is the third time that I'm trying to sit down and film this video for you. So I just feel a little bit like this. I just feel I want to come to this channel and tell you all the good things that are going on with me getting out of my comfort zone, and tell you that every experience that I have is just awesome. But it's just not true. There's going to be good things and bad things along this road of getting out of your comfort zone. There's going to be moments where you feel like you are so happy that you had such a great experience, and then there's going to be moments where you're like, this feeling is exactly why I don't ever want to do this again. Like, it's hard, and just because things are difficult and scary doesn't mean that you shouldn't do them. You can get over so much with just doing one little thing at a time. And I have a skill. I can play my instrument. I have a skill. I'm a classically trained musician. I have spent hours and hours and hours and hours, and even a year, this whole year, preparing the repertoire that I am working on. And a lot of time and effort, that's basically what I'm trying to say, has gone into preparing, and so that I can actually go and perform and play my instrument. And anyway, so this video is going to be me just having not a great experience. I am so grateful for the opportunity that was given to me, and I think that I played well, but my experience of the event was not good. In fact, I just kind of felt like I was sitting at the edge of a cliff and knowing that I was going to jump off the cliff, and that at some point I did jump off the cliff, and it was horrible, and I kind of left my body, and it was over, and I was at the bottom, and it was over. So that was the experience for me this third performance, unfortunately. And it really sucks, because this was a wonderful opportunity for me, and I was given this fabulous opportunity to participate and play in this concert that was at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia. It was wonderful. Like I said, I played, but my experience of that performance was not a healthy experience. And I guess I just want to share this with you, because just because you have a not great experience, just because those like psychological things go on in your mind, it doesn't mean that you have to stop just because you're afraid of doing something that is not a life-threatening situation. In fact, it's a really good thing. You know that it's a thing that would help you to grow. You know that it's a thing that you should do, that you can do, that there's a part of you that wants to do, but there's also a part of you that's like so afraid to come out of your shell. You're just so afraid that you kind of want to stay in the shell, but if you stay in the shell, then you will die, you're just not living. You're not really living to do something that you can do, because you're living in the boundary of your fears, and you could actually get beyond those. So I guess this odd video is just a reminder to myself, and also to any of you out there that are trying to do something that scares you, that is hard, that there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times, and you just have to figure out how to keep going down that road if it's a road that you want to go down. And I'll talk about reasons why I think that this was a more difficult experience for me as opposed to my other performances this year, which have been magical experiences. They were so wonderful because I actually was happy on stage. Like, I was actually happy to play, even though it wasn't perfect what I was playing. My heart was happy. And in this experience, I was so unhappy, so unhappy. I was just like, I almost, I just felt like I said, I just felt like I was jumping off of a cliff, and that I was going to, I kind of like have no idea what happened. All I remember is that I was extremely unhappy and anxious and kind of having a panic attack, even though to anybody looking around I looked perfectly fine, but my internal world was like, oh my gosh, let's get out of here right now, let's leave right now, let's leave. And on the outside world, it was like, hi, how are you? Oh, this is gonna be great, But on the inside, it was like, just, it was like a crazy person suddenly possessed my mind and was like thinking that the world was ending, like a chicken running around like, ah. That's how it felt. And it's so embarrassing and frustrating, and it's like I just feel guilty as well. Like, I feel guilty that this is how I felt about this experience, that I have like no memory of myself playing, except I have a memory of kind of in the middle of, or the early beginning of my piece, like listening to my like sound as my body was quite stressed, and I was like trying to play, and it just sounded like under my ear. So anyway, I don't know. I think some of the things that made this a scarier experience for me, or I did know that this was going to be really out of my comfort zone, but I still did it anyway, because good experiences and bad experiences, when you're trying to grow, they teach you things, and it's okay for everything to not be, it's just okay when these kinds of things happen too. It's just part of the process. But I think some of the reasons why I really struggled with this was because it was in the city, and I already am on, like, my anxiety level in the city is like really high already. I was definitely intimidated by the setting, because it was in this very important place, the Academy of Music in Philadelphia. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be here kind of feeling for me. It just, but at the same time, there was a part of me that was like, yes, this is right. This is where one should play. Like, this is a temple of music. This is all for the glory of classical music. Like, this is a temple of music. So there was a part of me that was just really amazed and astounded and just like in awe, and then I think the fact that I was part of another event, and I was listening and sitting for a few hours listening, and then finally I, changed into my dress, grabbed my viola, and went on stage. That period of time, my anxiety level was building and building and building, and my mind could not stay focused, and it just started to, my body just started to kind of like go into freak out mode, because it, when your mind thinks that there's something wrong, our body is sensitive to that too. So our body starts to kind of like think that there's a threat, and so then the whole thing is in a different state of mind, and I had like no capacity to think about playing from my heart or just enjoying the experience, because I was not enjoying the experience. I was trying to not be there. And so one of the coping mechanisms that I have is to just, if I'm in an uncomfortable situation, I will just be there, but I detach. Like, I just completely detach, and I'm not really there. My body's there. There's a part of me that's operating, but I'll just kind of like detach from the situation. And so I hate doing that when it comes to playing my instrument, because I really, really want to be there when I play. I don't know why it's so hard for me, but this is something that I'm trying to deal with, and I will get over it. I will. I'm gonna have these things happen to me. And so my other half was so very sweet. He's sitting with me and he's telling me, I've heard you play all this stuff so many times, like over 100 times. Like, you can actually play. You can actually do this, and you don't need to worry about any of these other people that are here. You don't know any of them. You don't need to be worried or bothered by them at all. Just play. Just do your thing. Like, you sound so beautiful. And he was just so encouraging. And I don't know, I'm so grateful for him and his support. But anyway, so I had one of these experiences with my instrument, and they're really not fun because they do remind me of so much strife. And like I said, I just want to be healed of this situation so that I can just enjoy playing, so that I can actually play my instrument. I can not be dealing with any of these psychological issues. And my other half spent some time with me talking to me about just, you're too precious and you're about this, and you're taking it way too seriously, so it's not very fun for you. Like, how can you have fun if you are just so serious and you're you're practicing 4 or 5 hours a day, but it's like you're in hyper analytical practice mode, trying to, like, you're working the phrase, you're obsessing over the phrasing, you're obsessing over any intonation issues, you're obsessing about the character, or you keep changing this or that, and you're just like in an obsessive state where it's like from the time that you wake up to the time that you go to sleep, and even before you go to sleep, you're studying the repertoire. It's like you're just frantic. You're kind of in a frantic state, and so it's not fun anymore. And I have noticed that from my first performance until now, I have become more that way in my practice. Whereas I think maybe before my first performance, and actually before my second performance, I was still like in this like really magical place where I was really enjoying the process and enjoying hearing the progression of my playing over this period of time. And I just like loved the sound of the viola. I loved the music that I was playing. There was a vibe of love around what I was doing, versus to prepare for this thing that I did on Saturday. I already was intimidated and anxious about it. And so instead of me being able to be loving about what it was I was doing, I was like in frantic, crazy person mode, where it's like, I felt like a bird that was like, okay, well, I'm going to rip out this feather, and I'm going to rip out this feather, and I'm ripping out this feather. And it's like ripping out all of its feathers until it's like just this weird creature that has a couple feathers left. I just like, I don't know. So what I'm going to be aware of now is this kind of fine line between me enjoying the process. And I actually see this in students as well. Like I see this in I have seen this over time with some of my students, is that they will, like in lessons, before I teach, will say out loud, help me to provide a joyful learning experience for my students. May they have a great time on their instrument. Let's learn about music together. Let's be uplifted by this experience. Let's enjoy our music bubble time. Let's enjoy our time with our instrument. This might be your only time, your only hour with your instrument this week. So I set that intention before I teach, and then usually before the lesson even starts, I'll just, do a little harp thing and say, it's so good to see you and welcome to your music bubble. You don't have to think about anything else. This is just your time with your instrument, and we're gonna have some fun learning about music today. Are you ready to play some violin? Are you ready to play some viola? Like it's an intention. It's like a vibe that I try to create for my studio for their lesson, because I want them to have a good time on their instrument. But for me, in my practice, it's like sometimes I'll remember to say, help me to play from my heart. Help me to enjoy this experience. Help me to be uplifted by this magical experience of playing music, of being able to read these notes on the page that were written by some of the greatest musicians ever, and for me to try to play what they wrote. And a lot of the music, was written by people who really, really tried to glorify God through their music. It was all for a greater glory than themselves. Like, it was like, this is so insanely beautiful. This is so beautiful. And then musicians, we would try to interpret that incredible beauty that's on a page. We would try to put that into the sound waves of the universe. So, it's such a magical experience. And so I'm in this moment where I'm just feeling really, really detached from that. And I don't like that feeling. I don't ever want to go back to that experience. And I know that I will probably, because it's something that I have to kind of grow beyond. But my main concern, like I've said in previous videos talking about this, is I just really need to have a good time with my instrument. It's something that's been a lifelong study for me, and I just really, really want to have a good time. So I mentioned that I do see this kind of hyper seriousness and over perfectionism with students sometimes. And when that happens, they don't have a good time. When they think that they should be able to do something right away, just, I say something, I'll say, we're going to do this, or we're going to play through the, at a C major scale or whatever. We'll have some time to, try things out a little bit, right? But they think that they need to do it right now, right away, perfectly. And it's just not the way that it is. You try things out, you just experiment, you kind of try to get around it. You you figure out where your fingers go, you try and make your bow do what the left hand is doing and go along, and it's a coordination thing, it's all sorts of things. And then maybe there's also, with some repetition and practice, there's some time to actually see if you can make it sound even better, and you can really enjoy the sound that you're making. And then it's just something, it can't happen really instantly. So I notice, is what I'm trying to say, that when students just can enjoy the process of learning, and they just have fun with their instrument, exploring their instrument, it's so much more enjoyable, and you actually learn so much better than if you're like in hyper serious perfectionism mode where you think that you need to be able to do it now, and then you're frustrated that you can't do it now, and then that, you know, is like a spiral of how you're not good enough and what a terrible failure you are, and all of that kind of stuff that's like doesn't really, it's not true. And but it just kind of becomes, it can become that versus this joyful experience. And so my other half was just trying to tell me that you're being too serious and too precious about it, and you're not having fun with the process. You need to remember that this whole thing is it's actually an enjoyable experience for you. Like, this is why you love music, you love the viola, you love this music, this is why you're doing this, and you love it so much that you actually feel compelled to share it with other people. You love music, and you're like you're just a disciple of harmony, of the divine harmony, of the divine music. So just remember that it's a fun experience. It's a fun experience for you. And it is. And so anyway, I guess I just wanted to share with you this like weird little moment that I had along my journey. And I've had so many of these moments. It astounded me how full force it came back in my face, and how unfortunate it was that I just really wasn't able to enjoy this beautiful opportunity, playing in this gorgeous room. I just was having a panic attack and just couldn't wait to leave, and finally it was over, and I was detached, and I had no idea what happened. So, and then it was over, and I was like, let's go. I just really don't like that experience. And so it's gonna be a long journey of this for me. But at some point, like all of the things that I've been too afraid to do in my life, it just becomes, with repetition, a thing that you do. And especially if you can figure out how to just have fun with the process and be okay with knowing that there's going to be good things and bad things that happen along the process, as long as you just keep doing it, and thinking of it as a learning experience and a time of growth, because sometimes growing is painful, right? We all have growing pains. You have to change and transform, and that takes energy and effort, and there's going to be maybe a little bit of pain involved. Sometimes it can be painless, I guess, but that's also why I feel like music is such a spiritual experience for me, is because it takes so much of my spirit and my heart to actually do what I do. There's a lot of me intending to have a good time, for it to be uplifting, for it to be healing, for it to be a beautiful, fun, joyful experience, a time of connection, a time of positive focus on something that's beautiful, striving towards something higher. It's a spiritual experience for me. So anyway, I guess on that note, I just wanted to share that with you. And if you're having an experience that's kind of like mine, just know that it's part of the growing pains process. And I know for me, it's a very good reminder for me to just, that actually this is supposed to be a fun experience for me, that I do love my instrument. I love playing. I can't not play my instrument. I cannot not play my instrument. I have tried to not play my instrument, and it's literally always in the back of my head, you need to play. Like, I want to play my instrument. I could play my instrument. I remember the first year of the pandemic when everything shut down, and I was teaching online, and I was very, very busy, and I was just sitting and I wasn't playing my instrument. I didn't play my instrument for a year. I guess it was in the background. I was thinking about playing. I would maybe demonstrate little things here and there, but I was so busy and burned out that I just didn't play. And then I started to study with my teacher again because I got very depressed. I gained a lot of weight. I forgot who I was. I went through a whole thing, I think, in 2020. And then in 2021, that was a year of transformation for me. 2022 is now me trying to get beyond this little thing that I struggle with performing, so that I can actually go out and perform, because there's a tiny spark in my heart that says I could actually play, like I could actually perform. And I actually really love playing. There's a tiny little light that I have that says I actually want to do this. So I'm listening to that. I want that light to shine brighter, and I know that it will. It's just there's some darkness that needs to be dispelled until this little tiny light can actually burn brighter. And when it does finally burn brighter, it's going to be so magical and awesome. There'll be so many wonderful things that I'll be able to live more fully and to do what I do more fully in such a more beautiful way. So I'm going to keep on going because of that tiny little light and tiny bit of hope that I have, and tiny bit of desire that I have to do what I do. So I think with that, I feel better. And just thank you guys for listening. This YouTube channel has been so much for me over the years. It's been me trying to share little bits and pieces of my instrument with you guys while I was going through a weird time. And it's just, it's amazing to be able to sit down and share this process now with you. And I appreciate you for being there to listen, and if any interest that you have in this at all, because perhaps if you're interested in it, there's some things that there's a reason why you're interested in it, basically. Perhaps it resonates with you. But yeah, so just thank you, and I'm sure there'll be many videos that are normal again. This is just something I wanted to share with you. I did post some pictures on Instagram of the day, and there's a tiny clip of me playing at the end. And but this was not part of it, and I just wanted to tell you and have some time to talk about the experience. And I will tell you about my experience when I go perform in Arizona. And I'm really excited for that. And I'm grateful that this happened here and not at the University of Arizona, because now I can remember that that this is a fun thing for me to do. This is really fun and special and magical. And I can now go there with more of a, it's clearer for me why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm grateful for this whole experience. So anyways, you guys, thank you, and I'll see you all very soon.